Welcome to the Acceptable Accuracy Podcast. This is your host, Philip, and I'm joined today by our guest host, Kyle. Kyle, say hi. Yeah. Tyler is somewhere on an island.
Timbuktu again.
Yeah. Just probably enjoying himself. You know, Tyler, if you're listening to this, which I know you're not, because, you know, when you have a podcast, you don't usually listen to your own podcast. Anyway, you need to start posting more pictures of like you and your family instead of just you.
or these landscape pictures.
Or the landscape pictures. I'm like, Are you out there by yourself? Like, what's going on, buddy? Anyway, he won't listen to this. He'll never know. All right. So for the first episode, we actually recorded a couple of episodes tonight. You'll hear them several weeks apart. But anyway, for the first episode, Kyle actually suggested the topic. So you want to introduce the topic for us?
Sure. Yeah. So our topics tonight are kind of going to go hand in hand, but our first one of the evening is going to be if you could only own 5 guns. So,
if you're forced to only own.
Or if you're forced to only own 5 guns. Now, we went back and forth about the rules of this thought process because, you know, do we use guns that we have or guns that we want or somewhere in between? And we kind of both went multiple directions on this one. But it's the age-old question of, you know, the gun guys sit around because thankfully we live in America and we don't have to only own just 5 guns. We can own as many as we want to. And sometimes we end up with more than we need. Not necessarily want, but need. So we're trying to do a little thought process of if we had to narrow things down, what bases do we want to cover and what would those be?
And it was interesting, too, because when we were talking about it in the pre-show, the concept of like a belt fed, which you can own as a civilian with FRT today and have, you know, close-ish functionality. Yeah. But then I'm like, well, are we including guns you couldn't own unless you had a SOT or like...
Well, I mean, the beauty of America is there really isn't a limit to necessarily what you can own. I mean, certain... you know, high-yield nuclear devices and, you know, anti-ship weaponry maybe outside of the range for your average suburbanite. But, I mean, you can, if you want to own a minigun, all you got to do is pay money and fill out the right paperwork, and you can own a minigun.
Yeah, and then it was funny because my mind went to, like, you know, I think with a lot of guys going this direction, like, well, if end of the world happens and I'm only limited to these 5 firearms, then I would want these specific firearms. But that to me it's not as fun either, because you're trying to be very practical about it. And my initial thought was be practical about this. And to be honest, like I have my list, but it'll probably change during this conversation.
Yeah, mine may too. I'm a pretty literal person, so I kind of stuck to what do I use my guns for the most and what do I want to have capability for. I didn't necessarily go the end of the world route. I went more of the every weekly, you know, range day, what would I be using? With of course the martial aspect that you guys have come to expect from my input.
All right, let's get started then. Do you want to go with your first pick?
Yeah, so I mean the tried and true, I've said it multiple times on podcasts. The first one would be my carry gun, which is just the Glock 19 with an armor and a weapon light, probably X300 or Streamline TLR1. I can do anything with it, short of, you know, most mid to medium to large game hunting is kind of out of the question for a 9mm. But I can carry with it, I can compete with it, I can fight with it. It's just... that's you could only own one, what would you own? That's always been my go-to, and that's the gun I probably shoot the most.
Yeah, and that was funny because I think that we're going to have a lot of similarities in these lists, so I think as they come up, I'll just agree with you on this one, for example, with a strike-and-fire pistol of some sort, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually went back and forth on this one a little bit because the competition side of me would be like a full size. Now, Glock 19, I kind of think crosses both the ability to carry and you can shoot it competitively.
I mean, I have the advantage of 12-year-old girl hands, so a Glock 19 fits me like a full-size gun. For most people, that's not the case.
And then I was even thinking, I was like, well, You could do like the Glock 19 with the X frame or whatever they call it, the
Oh,
Glock
the
19X.
19X.
Yeah,
Full size frame with the
yeah,
compact, or the Glock 45 now.
right.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I could do something like that, but um, I'm still debating this in my head right now as we talk about it. But if I was limited to it, a concealed carry pistol I think would be important to have. I concealed carry a Glock 43 clone that has like the double stack magazines that the Glock 43 doesn't come with. And I think that's a good compromise. I have the issue with the problem of having my body type as a tree. So like conceal carrying something, it definitely prints. I gotta be really careful with that. So having something that's a little bit slimmer works for me. So I think that would probably be my choice. Would be one of the micro,
Micro nines.
yeah, micro nines or whatever they're calling them now.
Well,
The
yeah,
double stack micros.
yeah. Because where do you fall like the Sig P365
Yeah.
with 21 round mag, 4.5 inch barrel? Like that, is that still a micro nine when it's just a slim version of a full size pistol?
Yeah, and I don't know what it is personally, but like when I carry, because I have a Glock 19 clone that I've carried, and then I have like the slimmer like I'm slipping on the terminology here, but like the 365, and it does noticeably make a difference for printing for me, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I rotate back and forth in my my everyday life between a 19 and a 365 XL. Again, 12-year-old girl hands, the 365 XL fits me fantastically. I've shot it in a couple competitions now and placed pretty well in it. But yeah, I think pretty much everybody's going to go with a concealed carry pistol of some kind. Micro 9, a compact, subcompact, somewhere in that general range.
And even if you're thinking like into the world scenario too, which again because we're guys, it does come to mind. Not everything is going to require you to have a rifle on you, right?
Yeah.
Like you still may need a concealed carry piece and having something.
Full battle rattle.
Right.
If you've never tried to maneuver a 16 or 14.5 AR inside of a vehicle, you can see the advantage of having a concealed carry pistol on you.
Or even just like things aren't completely crazy, like a Katrina style thing or something like that, where you still want to have something on you, but you don't want to advertise the fact that you have a rifle on you. So I guess that would, again, both of our number ones. Number two on the list, again, people are not going to be overly surprised about this, but an AR-15 clone of some sort.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah. And my list is in no particular order of like necessity.
Correct. Because these are ones you're going to have.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Again, though, probably what I would use the most because of competitions and just regular shooting would be, again, another AR-15 of some kind. Yeah. My preference being now, because I have one, thank you, Zombie Hesco Invitational 3-gun, is the URGI 14.5. I absolutely love that upper. Also, I'm going to cheat and add a 22 conversion kit to that.
That's cheating.
It is cheating, but I don't care. And a belt fed upper.
that's a double cheating.
I'm gonna cheat twice on this.
That's double cheating.
Because that's the beauty of the AR-15, though, is I can do that.
Yeah.
I can have one, registered part and have technically 3 or more firearms with it. There's a really good argument to have a 300 blackout upper and an 11.5 upper and a 22 upper and you could even get a 9mm upper with some conversion kits now and have several firearms with one receiver.
And to your point too, technically the lower receiver is the firearm.
Yeah.
So it actually changes my list now quite a bit and actually frees up a lot of slots. If we're allowing for alternate uppers, the default upper I would go with. I'm still a huge fan of just like a 11.5-inch upper. I just for some reason from maneuverability, compact size, I'm just a huge fan of that. You can it's not effective necessarily at 500, but you can hit up 500 with it.
Yeah,
I have.
And it's
for competition, it's fine.
If I was to do my collection over again, working in the gun industry for 10 years, I've amassed quite a collection. But if I had to do it all over again, I probably would just stick with a 14.5 upper with an LPVO and a 11.5 upper with a red dot magnifier combo. And that's going to cover your bases of just about anything an AR-15 is going to do, especially with a really high quality 14.5 like the URGI,
Right.
where you're capable of, minute of angle accuracy out to 500 yards without much effort. I mean, there's been several. I've done it, but other YouTubers and stuff have done it pretty regularly out on the on video, and 9 Hole Reviews has a great video on the URGI about that,
Yeah.
going out to some seriously extended ranges that most AR-15s or intermediate calibers aren't really capable of doing. Now, you get into the argument of terminal ballistics at that range, but 6 to 1 half dozen the other.
Yeah, and the 14 half it's really fantastic length, which I mean obviously our military uses it and they don't always get everything right, but there must be some reason behind it, maneuverability with good ballistics built into it.
Yeah, I personally think it's kind of the sweet spot for me for most stuff you're gonna do with an AR-15.
Yeah.
You do kind of somewhat lose the maneuverability, compactness, depending on for what we do as suburbanites.
Right.
We're not doing vehicle interdictions and helicopter insertions and stuff like that, where maneuvering of the rifle is extremely important. But the end all be all argument that people throw out there is Marines cleared Fallujah with 20-inch AR, M16s with bayonets on them. So, 24-inch gun, barreled gun. They're clearing, slums, houses with those things. So, is it the best tool for the job? Not necessarily. Is it a tool that can work? Yeah. So, but yeah, an AR-15 of some kind that fits our roles, competition and defensive use.
Yeah, and I think there are alternative, like you look at an AK or some of the new like what's the new SIG called that the military is trying to adopt?
The spear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But like the support's not fully there yet, and I'm sure that you could get. I know you can get multiple caliber uppers for it, or whatever, but there's so much support for the AR-15 yet today. Like I said, belt heads, 9 millimeters. And you can even get long range calibers too. That some of the new stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, getting in the 6 arc and the 338 arc and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or even like again looking at 300 blackout if you want something that's subsonic or whatever, and that's a good call out.
Yeah, we could do a whole nother podcast tonight on the before AR-15 platform and superiority against
anything else.
The Bren, the Scar, the AKs, whatever. It's hard to compete against that America's rifle. There's so much, like you said, so much support, so much aftermarket, so much modularity that you break a bolt, you can have one delivered in 3 days, or go to your local gun store and probably get the parts you need to fix it. Whatever you want to do with it, you can probably get parts or an upper receiver to do it and be set. So this is definitely something that's going to be in anybody's 5-gun list. Will be an AR-15.
All right, number 3. So this is where I think so now we've left the train station.
Yeah.
You've gone past the common stops of the 9mm and the AR-15.
Yeah.
I think
it's McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. We're on to the new ones.
Yep.
So I do a bit of outdoorsman activities, not a ton. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of this weapon platform, but I do see its practicality and usefulness. But I'm gonna go with a Mossberg 590 with a 18-inch barrel and also a 26-inch field barrel, since you can convert them back and forth. I can go with the 18.5 for home defense and fighting, and I can run the 26-inch for birds or drones.
Or drones. Love it. Since we're talking shotguns, because I have starting to fall in love with the platform, is a mag fed shotgun. Now I know they're not as reliable as a pump, right? But they are a lot of fun, and it removes a lot of the annoyances when, again, from a competition perspective, in loading shells into a tube, right?
Yeah.
And it's so much fun just to swap mags from one 10 round all the way out to 20 round mags full of shotgun shells, and being able to do it quickly, right, And again, they're not perfect. You're gonna have problems. Even at last zombie, even with my gun that was running really well, both Tyler and I had a few issues, and I think I know what the problem with it now. I think I figured it out.
Well,
But
Tyler's issue was reloading.
yeah, it was. We had a couple stovepipes on it too.
Yeah.
But I think I figured out the gas issue on that.
Yeah.
But I think having a shotgun, no matter what your choice is,
Yeah.
you know, in worst case scenario, you have to hand feed it. You know, if you're hunting, it's not, as long as you have one in the chamber, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's not necessarily something that I think, you know, I think a Glock 19 and an AR-15 in any gun owner's home is, you know, to call yourself a gun enthusiast if you don't have a striker fired pistol and 9mm double stack and an AR-15 of some kind set up. I wouldn't necessarily consider you a gun enthusiast, because those two are just the most common. Shotguns, I think, are a little bit more polarizing, where you're gonna get your in between guys of your outdoorsmen that are, you know, duck and bird hunting of some variant, or your clays guys.
Yep.
But you may not see one in like a tactical guy's house. You know, it's, right. I have quite a few, because I came into guns quite a while ago when ARs were still somewhat on the niche where you didn't really see those. Like, I still remember tube handguards. But shotguns were still kind of the end all be all of defensive firearms. So I have quite a few of them because of that. But you can't ignore the effectiveness of like double-aught buckshot and one-aught slugs. Is it something that I would necessarily pick up and go to war with? Probably not, unless it's, you know, giant cow-sized aliens like the Chris Pratt movie from a few years ago, where everybody's running 7-inch ARs, and the one and they're not working, and then the one guy just is dropping stuff left and right with a Beretta, you know, what is it, A300 tactical. But it has its niche market, and it has its effectiveness in not quite as round situations as an AR-15 has, but it is still the king of close quarters. I mean, Clint Smith has a great line about it that I won't speak verbatim, but, you know, shotguns at the right range with the right load will physically remove a chunk of stuff off your opponent, and you'll have to pick that stuff up off the floor with a shovel.
Yeah, from the sheer versatility perspective, it's hard to beat a shotgun because you can literally do anything with it, right? Your only limitations are capacity.
Yeah, I mean,
and the reloading ability.
I mean, beanbags, flares,
that's a good point.
Birdshot, buckshot, slugs.
Yeah.
I mean, reloading for them is fairly straightforward. Requires a little bit different stuff than reloading, you know, brass case cartridges, but you can usually find shotgun shells in any sporting goods store that sells ammunition.
Yeah, even Meyer around here, they don't sell. They might sell some hunting rounds, but they don't. They still sell shotgun shells.
Yeah, I think every Meyer, every grocery store, which is our local grocery store, sells you know, shotgun shells of some kind. And while I will never say birdshot is an effective defensive round, but if you shoot birdshot at 7 yards, it's going to do some damage to whatever you're shooting at.
Yeah. With the shotguns too, the 590, that's the one that has the detachable magazine, right?
590M is the magazine fed. I'd still go with the tube fed.
Gotcha.
Cost, not really like part of this discussion, but in practicality case, cost, those magazines are extremely expensive.
Oh, that's too bad.
And it's tube is just kind of the way. You know, it's a vibe. I'm not too practical to admit that sometimes we buy guns based off the vibe. Stainless steel 1911s, especially. But it's a just more of a practicality thing for me. It's a little bit more familiar manual of arms, and it's a bit more reliable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree.
When it comes to, especially if you're shooting more light load stuff, or specialty rounds.
Yeah. Like, in order to get my semi-auto, which is a Sega clone, to get it run Like I was pretty fortunate. The gas setting is pretty reasonable, but like you still, if you go from shooting, in a competition from shooting bird or target load, I guess, into slugs, like you're gonna feel it.
Oh, it's
So in like there are ways to mitigate that too. I've got a mag pull stock on it that's got like a limb saver on the end of it, which definitely helps out. But I mean, you're gonna be in pain.
yeah.
One way or another. There are definitely like there's some semi-autos. Like I have the Jam Master 930 that like you shoot that thing and you can shoot it all day long. It's so soft. Like I don't know it loses maybe some of its oomph because of the reciprocating like semi-auto functionality of the shotgun.
Yeah. Semi-autos just tend to bleed off some of that recoil energy that you don't get. I mean, probably still to this day, I own a Barrett 50 cal. One of the worst recoiling guns I own is a single shot 20 gauge. That was my first shotgun. Yeah. It is a bear to shoot. It beats you up.
No doubt.
But it is fun though.
I think somebody explained to me that the 590M, the magazine, couldn't be used, or the way that they were set up couldn't be used in a semi-auto configuration or something like that. But maybe there's a way. Maybe it's just the 590M itself. But I feel like the problem is when you start getting into semi-auto shotguns, you're looking at foreign firearms. With magazines, you're looking at foreign firearms, and those don't tend to have the machining that we do here in the States. I would love Mossberg to find a way to do a semi-auto with it. Because I've heard the M's with the magazines are pretty reliable.
Well, and the advantage I think the 590M has over some of the other magazine-fed shotguns on the market, pump or semi, is the double stack. That it's a double stack that you're running a 10-round magazine that doesn't go to your knees when you do it with a single stack. The other issue I find with magazine-fed shotguns is just none of them seem universal. I mean, you have the pattern for the Rock River, you have pattern for Sega, you have pattern for Vepr, you have, which, if you find, unless you're very versed in all the different patterns of shotgun magazines, unless you're going with something like the 590 that, there is only the one.
Right.
If you have an AK pattern shotgun, which magazines are going to even run in that gun?
It's a pain because with the links that I have that I shoot, the manufacturer SDS imported it. They made their own magazines that are 10 round, but they don't have anything beyond that. And those magazines run just fine. I don't have any issues with them. But then if I look at I think it's SGM is the brand, or SMG or something like that.
SGM,
If I look at the brand,
Korean mags,
and they're like, there's one other brand I forget too, but you have to actually modify the magazine with a file to get it to run, and then even then,
which is also just kind of the AK.
It is very much an AK. I remember setting up that thing up, and it was more finicky parts alignment than any other firearm I've ever owned, and it runs fine now. But and I was working on getting a extended magazine past 10 rounds, just because some of again, zombie, there's some courses of fire that require more than 10 shotgun shells, and trying to game the crap out of it, not to reload. I didn't ever end up running the mag at the competition because I just got to work before I left, and I was like, I don't want to have to rely on this thing to not be reliable.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, there's the old joke about AK guys versus AR guys. AR guys are the Jiffy Lube mechanics. All they do is an oil change. You ask them to fix a timing belt or timing chain, and they're just going to look at you cross-eyed. Whereas AK guys are the old crusty mechanic in the back of his garage that you bring him a problem and you just wax it with a wrench and it works. AK guys have to be a little bit more intimately familiar with the inner workings of their guns than AR guys. When gun don't work, fix a part. AK don't work, break out the Dremel tool.
It's funny because to get the gas regulator off the front of my AK shotgun, because it gets really gummed up. That's the other issue, is the thing gets really dirty really quick. And then to get it off, and there's replacement options you can get for it, but I had to take a pliers and really crank on that thing, and I think I stripped all of the bluing off of the plug itself. So it looks fine. It's fine, and it didn't break anything, but it just looks.
That's why God gave us camo Krylon, though.
And I may have found some ways to solve that problem too. But anyway,
so your third gun is a mag-fitted semi.
Yeah, and the fourth gun would be a .22 pistol.
22 pistols. That was something that I struggled with putting on my list or not. I cheated, so I still had a 22 because during our pre-show talks, you brought up 22s, and I kind of groaned because I already had my list done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I have a birthday coming up, and I'm starting to feel my age, and I'm also starting to recognize my age because I'm falling way more in love with 22 guns than I have ever in the past.
Yeah.
I'm just find myself watching and reading more about rimfire stuff than I have ever done before. And but I think it's also because, I mean, 22s are just so much fun.
Yeah. And it's cheap. And and whenever you're teaching somebody to shoot, I still, especially with pistol, I go to a nice like Target 22.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be heavy, which, people say is not the greatest thing, but I think it's fine. But it doesn't recoil.
Yeah.
At all. And it's like shooting like laser beams out of it, right?
Yeah.
And they tend to be really accurate. And people get their confidence built up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I chose a pistol specifically versus a rifle because I actually went back and forth mentally on that one, because from a practicality standpoint, like if you're going to hunt small game, a rifle makes way more sense, right? I would argue, like, if you're a good enough pistol shooter, you can make decent shots, especially with like anything with a bull barrel, like pistols would be fine.
Yeah. But
because we cheated and we said that you could do a 22 conversion for upper on your AR, that covers the rifle need.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The pistol too, again, there's something fun about that. I have I actually have two of the exact same pistol, because one is my personal one. I own the second one, but it's like my son's, like, it's what he uses. So, and it's really fun to shoot akimbo 22s that are set up exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do every holiday I go down to visit my family in Virginia, and we do a cousin's range day on my cousin's property. He has a nice shooting facility there. And this year we had two, everybody kind of brings out the stuff they want to show off that year. And it just so happens that we ended up with two single action 22s. Oh. So everybody was doing the, Wyatt Earp, Outlaw Josie Wales, dual wielding single action 22s cowboy style that year. And it's just, like you said, when you burn through 50 rounds of 22, like, it costs you what, $5 to $8. I mean, you can get into some pricey ammo on the match side for the guys that shoot like 22 PRS, which is also something that I've gotten really interested in.
Yeah.
Because shooting a suppressed 22 at 300 yards and hitting an 8-inch steel target is really satisfying. When you can just sit there and shoot 10 rounds back to back and hit every single shot, that's a lot of fun. And it's like, you look at the box of ammo you just shot and you're like, that was $9 versus looking at a box of 77 grain OTM 5.56 and you're like, that was $30.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The other thing too is, if you suppress a 22 and you're shooting subs, it's the only time I have shot a firearm that was truly like movie quiet.
Yeah.
Was a bolt action. Okay, we're talking about pistols, I guess, but it was a bolt action 22 shooting subs with a suppressor on it, and it was literally, you could hear the action of like or the pull of the trigger, and then function of the trigger, and then if you were shooting dirt, you could literally hear the whap of like the 22 bullet hitting the dirt.
Yeah.
Which is just mind blowing.
Yeah. This past trip, my cousin has a CZ 457 22 bolt gun.
Okay.
And he's got 200 yards on that he can shoot at. So we always try to get out there and shoot 22s at long range. Mm-hmm. So this year I also brought out my right to bear 8-inch 22 AR upper.
Nice.
And we were shooting that. So it's a dedicated 22 upper. I have a dead air mask on it, which costs more than the complete upper cost. So it's a fantastic, like, the whole gun is less than $1,000. Optic, night vision, laser, everything included, less than $1,000 for this gun. And we're shooting that at 200 yards and double tapping a C-zone target. at 200 with that thing. It's like you shoot it and it's like, oh, I just shot 25 rounds. Like, who cares? Yeah. It's so much fun because it's so low impact. It's so just good fun that, like, also talking about like getting somebody into it, like manual arms, learning how to shoot the gun. A pistol, I think, makes more sense if we're not going to cheat and throw 22 uppers on our one AR-15 and lower. I think like a Smith & Wesson Victory or a Mark IV 2245 or something like that makes a lot of sense. I'm a little apprehensive on teaching starting out with a 22. It kind of depends on the reason why that person is coming to me for training. Yeah. If they're just wanting to learn how to shoot a gun, fine. If they're wanting to learn how to shoot a gun because they then want to go out and buy a Glock or an MMP or I'm probably not going to push them to a 320 anytime soon. But some kind of striker fired 9 for concealed carry home defense. I'm probably not going to start them out with that because in my experience, have noticed sometimes that 22 lets people pick up bad habits that then they want to go back to the 22 because it's easier. If they start out full throttle, if they stick with it, they have a tendency to do better, and then they can go to the 22 for fun. But 22s do have a bit of a martial aspect to them. Again, not the most reliable cartridge, but it is definitely the only gun you're going to get with a can that is even close to Hollywood quiet. And in the event that you're in a place that you need to shoot a gun and don't want to be discovered shooting that gun, you're going to be hard pressed to do anything other than, maybe a really tuned and high-end 300 Blackout or something similar. You're pretty much going to be stuck with a rimfire of some kind. So a 22 pistol is, especially with a can, I think that's somewhat of a mandatory thing for me. I don't know if I would want a 22 that doesn't have a silencer, or at least the capability to add one.
Yeah, I was trying to look up something real quick too. There's some early 22 that was made that was supposed to be really quiet that could be used by partisan forces to quietly take out troops and steal their weapons. Was, I think, World War II. They had something set up. I can't remember what it was. And I may be misremembering.
The well rod.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
So that was OSS. It wasn't partisans. So OSS developed a bolt action. It's a manual breech action 22 pistol. They also made it in 45. You might be thinking of the Liberator pistol. That was in 45 ACP.
Maybe.
Yeah, single shot, made out of stamped metal. Unfortunately, they dumped 96% of them in the ocean after the war because they didn't need them anymore. They showed up a little too late to be effective in the war effort. D-Day was a lot more effective than the people that put the order in anticipated. But if you, and just like you said, small game, hunting, things like that, it's a little bit more practical for an all-around use than a 1022 would be.
Right. I was even thinking too, if you were out hunting for food for necessity or something like that, right? And you're out carrying a shotgun or some large caliber firearm in order to take down large game, and you came across small game, you're not going to use your hunting rifle caliber or shotgun to unless maybe if you have target load or birdshot or something like that, I suppose. But if you only had slugs or buckshot, it's going to destroy something small. Whereas if you had on your hip a 22, then you have the ability to take out small game in a way that would preserve most of the yummy scrumptious meat that's on it.
Yeah, nobody wants to eat a squirrel that was shot with a 300 Win Mag.
No, there's not much. That's the point.
Mince squirrel, anyone?
Yeah, and back to the teaching people on firearms. I think if you're somebody who's scared of firearms too. Yeah. I think trying to get them over that hump of they're scared of the recoil because they assume that it's going to be massive recoil. They watch movies and they always see people get flipped backwards and they're shooting whatever. The worst thing I think you can do is give somebody a large caliber revolver for the first firearm. People think it's funny. I think it's bad.
Yeah, that nothing aggravates me more than those compilation videos of people shooting Desert Eagles and 44 Magnum revolvers with somebody that has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, in modern 9mm, to your point, like they don't really recoil that crazy amount.
My 65-year-old mother can shoot a Glock 19.
Yeah.
Now she can't do it a lot, but you wouldn't want to walk through the door. When she's got it.
And if you're getting into competition too, like rimfire, there's a lot of really good rimfire, like there's Rimfire Challenge and then there's Steel Challenge that are really good starter competitions.
Yeah.
And they're super affordable. So if you're young, you want to get into competition, but you don't have a lot of cash, you're recent grad or maybe even in college and you have a way to get a hold of firearms.
Or trying to convince your parents who aren't young people.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like having a 22 is really enjoyable for especially learning to shoot fast as well too, because there's so little recoil on like a tuned 22 that it's really enjoyable to shoot, especially if you're shooting steel. It's just a lot of fun. All right, so what's your fifth?
Well, we start on.
You would not do a 22 for your fourth.
My fourth wouldn't be.
Okay.
My fourth wouldn't be. Right. I didn't have a 22 on my list except for my cheating conversion kit.
Okay.
So my fourth gun. So again, I do a little bit more of the outdoor stuff. So I would need a hunting rifle of some kind, but I also like to do some long distance stuff.
Yeah.
That's somewhere I'm very lacking in my current skill set. That's something I want to get more involved in. So I'd go with kind of a hybrid long range and hunting rifle in the Bergara B14 HMR.
Yeah.
So I have one of these in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I could only have one gun, I think I would get it in 308 instead, though. A little bit more availability on ammunition, a little bit more barrel life with the slightly lower pressure round. And, I mean, there's an argument in there for 308 versus 6.5 Creedmoor. Can 6.5 Creedmoor take some larger game? I mean, I know people that have taken elk with 6.5 Creedmoor.
Right. So,
we have a friend of ours that says, has taken
a
lot of large animals with a 6.5 Creedmoor. So it's not something that I would say is too different, but I think if I could only own one, it would be in 308. Just a little bit more available in ammunition is pretty much the only deciding factor in that.
See, I think I would stick with 6.5. I don't know. I don't have 308 and I have 6.5. I'm just used to having.
Do you not own a 308 of any kind?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I own two 6.5 Creedmoors.
That's right. Sure.
But I do not want a 308. I see the value in a 308. Mm-hmm. In the availability of 308 is way more than 6.5 Creedmoor. Though I don't think we'll ever cross the point which there's more 6.5 out there, but I think there's getting to be a lot more of it out there that people, if you see people buying hunting firearms, they are seriously considering, especially if it's their first one, they're considering 6.5 over 308.
You do get a lot of advantages in 6.5 versus 308, and again, we could do a whole nother podcast on this argument, but it's just a little bit of lighter recoil of a gun in 6.5 versus 308. The round's a little bit lighter overall, so if you're talking like fighting guns, like you can carry a little bit more 6.5 than you can 308.
Flatter.
A lot flatter shooting, a lot better at wind. So for your real long distance shooting, like for people that are out there shooting 1,000 and 1,500, it is definitely a better round for that. I'm thinking more in my current lifestyle and use of firearms. 308 is going to check the box for me because I mean I don't even have access to more than 1,000 yards in my home state of Michigan right now.
That's true.
Now I think Marksman Training Center is planning to push back past 1,000.
I heard that too.
But I don't know I don't know when that project's going to commence. And we're so far away from them.
I know
that
and their memberships are not cheap.
It's not cheap. I mean, you could get on a group deal and it's kind of affordable, but I mean that's a whole weekend range day basically.
Right.
That's something that takes a lot of time to dedicate. So our home range being 500 yards, a 308 is more than comfortable at that range. Maybe even boringly so, with something more set up for longer distance shooting. But
Yeah, and I think if I were in that situation where I never had the requirement to shoot past like 500, 308 makes way more sense than a 6.5. Again, I will say it used to be, and this is not the case anymore either, but 308 ammunition used to be significantly cheaper than 6.5.
Yeah.
Now that has changed
Yeah,
recently.
ammo prices have gone through the roof. I think you're never going to see 6.5 Creedmoor get cheaper than 308. Like, if we're just talking rounds to shoot, because your
Sure.
FMJ
Yeah.
147 grain ball ammunition is going to run you, just under $1, maybe around $1.
Yeah, that's fair.
I
The
don't think
cheapest
you're
6.5 I think is about $1.
Yeah,
I've seen.
and again, are you really wanting to? If your barrel life is only is measured in the, 4 digits rather than 5 digits,
Right.
are you really wanting to shoot just to shoot it, or do you want to shoot the right ammo through it? So I don't think you're ever really going to see, until the United States doesn't produce 308 ammunition for the military. I don't think you're ever going to see 308 kind of go away. I think it's always going to be kind of a mainstay for hunting and people that want that little bit more oomph for terminal ballistics on a rifle than something like a 5.56 or a 243 or something like that.
Yeah, and to your point about NATO calibers too, is again those tend to be cheaper just
Yeah.
because of the mass quantities they're produced at,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe you'll see. I don't think you'll ever see 6.5 Creedmoor adopted outside of more like niche usage in the military.
Yeah, SOCOM fields and
Right.
stuff like that.
Like,
Yeah.
but everybody uses 308. Everybody.
'Cause I
uses
believe
5.56.
SOCOM does have a contract now for
They do.
6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah, they have. There's 2 different firearms they have that they're using.
Yeah, but I don't think you'll ever see it like in a belt fed.
Yeah. Um. Interesting. So bolt gun, not a semi-auto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bolga, and I think mostly because of the hunting aspect of it. With the silencer, hunting with a silenced bolt gun is just going to be a little bit nicer on the ears, lighter to carry.
Yeah.
And there's just something kind of satisfying about going to the range and shooting long range with a bolt gun versus semi-auto. Semi-autos are, don't get me wrong, if we're talking like purely like end of the world, like practical stuff, yeah, I'm going to take an 18 or 20 inch 308 AR-10 over a bolt gun any day of the week. But just for like, if it's like, hey, you can only own one, you're in your current lifestyle, current happenstance of things, it's gonna be that.
Yeah, and there's a draw to shooting anything that has, more of a function to it to cycle the next round in, right? It's like driving a manual, right? Like driving a bolt gun or a lever action. Those kind of things are just, there's something about them. There's something like tangible about them versus like a semi-automatic where like,
it's a little bit more autopilot.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're going to drive an auto. Like you literally like put the gun in gear basically and then you keep pulling the trigger.
Yep. Keep throttling up until you need more gas.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. What's your number 5 then?
So I went a little boring with the number 5, but I also have an exciting one. So I have 2 options.
What you got these people in?
I know I could only pick.
You can give me 2, but you're gonna have to.
I'm gonna give 2, but I'll have to.
You gotta make your runner up.
Yeah. So if we're talking like, because again during the pre-show we kind of went a little off the rails. It's like, okay, is it gonna be our current lifestyle or like anything we want? So current lifestyle, it would be the new Gen 6 17 with an SRO for competition. Like, I can also be like a full-size pistol for home defense and things like that. But I've been shooting Glock more with my competition side of stuff. Been very happy with it. And the new Gen 6s, I've got my hands on one, and it's probably going to be my next purchase. But my just like, if I could own anything, I kind of filled this one with my cheater, but a full auto saw.
Yeah.
249 saw, full auto, because the semi-auto one is stupid for 10, 12 grand. Ridiculous.
Until somebody makes an FRT for it.
It's still dumb because it's still 12 grand. But yeah, either that or a 240 Bravo in full auto.
Yeah.
Just trying to feed a 240 Bravo just is painful.
Yeah.
So the 5.56 is a little more manageable at 40 cents a round versus like 90 cents a round. Unless, money's no object, then I mean a 240 would just be, that would be the best. But practically speaking, it would be a Glock 17.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess since we're doing runner up, I'll throw one up in there too. But I think my official fifth would be a semi-auto large frame of some sort, which was on my list of things I wanted to own and got one recently, so maybe that's why it's top of mind. The only thing I will say, and I from a practical standpoint, if you're looking at hunting, a bolt action is going to be typically lighter, right? And more like my semi-auto like AR-10 is heavy. It's got thick barrel on it. But there are alternatives out there like Ruger's S-FAR, which is like 7 pounds and some change, which is like some AR like 15 like weight. Now there are people that have issues with them. Like you can tune them and get them to work, right? So
it's still a Ruger AR.
That's the only problem is like
Ruger makes 2 good guns and that's it.
Yeah,
and the Mark IV
and the
1022.
But
Ruger, please sponsor us. I'll say nicer.
But the nice thing is, like, you've got, like, it's a light, large frame, basically large frame firearm that you could push into, and because I really went back and forth between that and the one I ended up with, because you can get a little longer barrel because the rifle itself is this more compact than your typical AR-10. You get longer barrel and it's still be about the same length, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's essentially a mil-spec AR-15 lower, but with AR-10 Magwell.
I think so.
Is basically the concept of the S-FAR. Yeah.
It's his own thing.
Yeah.
So...
as all AR-10 patterns are, it's
and there are a few like people try to match certain. There's I think there's 2 major
patterns. The DPMS LR308 and the Knights AR-10 pattern. But even those you'll see there's some differentiation between one brand's AR-10 Knights pattern won't fit another brand's AR-10 pattern. Arrow precision uppers, which are LR308, won't fit all LR308 handguards, which is a problem I run into regularly building guns professionally. I hate it when people come to me trying to build an AR-10. I just tell them to buy one.
That's a good point. And the challenge is too with unless you're spending because you can get if you're buying an AR-15, you can get a pretty accurate AR-15 for $1,000. Like BCM or
I as a again as a gun salesman I would tell people they're coming in to buy an AR-15 and I'd say well what do you want it to do? They're like, well, I don't want to spend every dollar that I have on the gun, but I also don't want to buy a piece of junk either. And I was like, okay, then budget about $1,000 to $1,100, and you're going to be in that that BCM territory. Some higher end. So knock on SIG for the 320. But they have the M400 line. Is a pretty good affordable AR that I've seen I've had a lot of good success with.
But for some reason, AR-10s you're spending a ton of money to get one that's accurate.
Or
308 or 65 Creedmoor. Or reliable.
Yeah.
308 I think from what I've heard is a little bit more reliable than 6.5. Though I think it's gotten better.
I think that gap has narrowed in the last 4 or 5 years, but it's been AR-10s are a nightmare to get involved with. If you don't have experience. I have had several people, being in New York, people, when you're having to deal with a neutered gun, like a New York Safe Act compliant AR, people tend to want to go for the bigger caliber because if you can only have 10 rounds, you want the biggest 10 rounds you can put in it. And
interesting.
So people will be trying to build their own out of receiver kits, and 9 times out of 10, somebody would show up with coming in for help to get it assembled, and they'd have a different pattern upper to a lower, and it wouldn't work. It's like, well, you got to go spend another $200 on an upper receiver and hand, or more, because you bought the wrong parts because you just didn't know. So get familiar with AR-15s and then do a ton of research before you either get near by trying to build an AR-10.
Yeah.
So practically speaking, an AR-10, honestly, in my opinion, is more of a niche gun than a shotgun is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think an AR-15 is going to fill the role of 95% of what people need a rifle to do.
Right.
That aren't, kicking down doors, and even most people that are kicking down doors. I mean, there's a reason why this next generation service weapon project has hit so many barriers, other than the SIGs not working. Is, do we really need to have the regular grunt infantryman running this super heavy, higher pressure, lower capacity round when the M4s worked really well for the last 60 years, 50 years? We've been fielding it as our main service weapon, and it just works. So having an AR-10, it does everything an AR-15 can do, just a little bit further away, but you
with
have
less capacity.
Yeah, less capacity, more weight, less reliability.
Yeah.
The trade-offs for the bigger caliber, I just don't think are very there for the average user. Now, if you have a very niche role, SWAT sniper, a 16-inch AR-10 is probably a good idea because you got barriers, windows, body armor, accuracy, knockdown, terminal ballistics. I almost used knockdown power. Made my skin crawl a little bit.
Stop power.
Stopping power.
If I, this is the one, like, if you could get one that fed reliably, which, again, the one I have now has been great. Right, like I had some issues early on. Once I got the gas tuned, it was fine. Yeah. Once you find a round too that is accurate out of it, that's the other thing too. And then you find one that's accurate, and then is it affordable? Because in the really high end stuff, like any of the Sierra Match King bullets, you're probably even in the have a cheap bolt action, and that thing don't even do sub MOA with the Sierra Match Kings because it's a great bolt.
Yeah, but
the rounds, even when AAC was loading them, they were still like. I think as cheap as I got it was like $1.80 or something like that per round.
Yeah, I think
the Federals are like $2 to $4 a round.
I think I've seen Sierra Match Kings and a Hornady ELD match ammunition. I mean, that's a minimum of $1.50 a round.
Yeah,
is just kind of what if I need to buy it, I'm gonna spend $20 a box easy.
Yeah. Fortunately, the one I have, their Hornady American Gunner with their bolt tail health point, which actually has specs for it too, because you're trying to figure out like your ballistics on it, and you need to be able to have all the specs on it, and sometimes you get rounds that just don't have that data, and you're like, I have no idea what my ballistic coefficient is on this thing. But this does, and it's fairly cheap, and you buy it in boxes of 50, and I think you pay like $1.10 per round, which is really good, and I get really good performance out of it. But I was gonna say is, if I had to defend my home, like, I don't know what I would grab first. I would probably give my AR-15 to my wife, and I would grab the AR-10 because just, again, like I talked about earlier, the ability to shoot through barricades, the ability to shoot through vehicles, the ability to one-shot somebody and, like, at least get them to the point where they don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you put under stress.
Yeah, you put a .308 round into somebody that is just there to steal a TV. They're probably not going to be around anymore. Right. And I mean,
and when I say
hopefully you got a silencer on it because you do now have to pay for hearing aids for the whole family.
Yeah, sorry. When I say
maybe just let them steal the TV.
When I say defend my home, I guess I should put some context behind that. Like, let's say in like a SHTF scenario where there are a bunch of people coming at my house.
Yeah, homestead defense.
Homestead defense. There you go. I like that better. Then in that case, again, this is likelihood very low.
Yeah.
Like you're more likely to need an AR-15 for one intruder in your house than an AR-10 for like 5 or 10.
Yeah.
But there is something to say with a larger caliber bullet, which maybe you can get something out of an AR-10 platform or AR-15 platform that would be like they're a blackout. I don't know. Any 30 cal round, maybe better than a 5.56.
So what's your runner up? That's
I honestly I would go to something fun like a belt fed just because it just
like an HK-21 or
it just something something that would
M60.
yeah, like M60 honestly would probably be the stupid something like like old and fun or like what's the Modus or whatever the 50 cal
50 cal.
there was just something goofy that would have like zero practical usage for most civilians, but would be really fun to have.
Yeah, I maybe amend my since I do have my cheater belt fit. Maybe amend my runner up to be my Barrett 50 cal because that gun is just so much fun.
That's true.
It is so much fun to shoot.
It is fun. It's one of those things where I remember when we shot it, like if you're prone and you shoot it, and then like all of the dust around it just like kicks up,
Yeah.
It's cool.
But yeah, the first time I shot it, I put my phone up on it, the kickstand on the case to get my girlfriend who was with me and spotting for me as I was zeroing it. I put it up to get her reaction. And the muzzle brake just blew my blew my phone over. So it was a great video because it looked like the gun exploded and killed us all. So maybe instead of I get a belt fit conversion for the AR, and then
some kind of 50 cal.
Then do my 50 BMG somehow.
The nice thing about that too is the availability of fun, unique rounds. Too that like you can't get from smaller calibers
your APITs and your Ralphus rounds that may or may not blow up and make you have open heart surgery.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Sorry, conductor listening.
I figured that's what you're talking about. That's I don't know. There's a lot out there, right? And it's hard. I think that's why as like gun guys or gun gals, I suppose.
Our 4 female listeners, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yep. I would be impressed if we have one female listener. And I know my mom does not listen to this podcast, so I can't say that.
Neither of our wives listen. I doubt Tyler's lady friend listens.
Yeah.
So maybe 4 is a stretch.
Yeah. I mean, if we have a guest on and they're like, honey, you have to listen to this podcast that I was on. Like, that would be the one.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. It would be irregular.
It's irregular. It's one listing every 7 episodes.
So
if you're a female listener, please comment or send us an email to let us know.
Yeah, that you're actually listening.
That you are actually listening.
Yeah. But I think that's why, as gun guys, it's so hard. That's why we have like people that don't understand are like, why do you need more than one firearm, right? Like, and then I'll show people like the gun room downstairs, and like they're not into firearms. They're like, what are you preparing for, the apocalypse? I'm like,
or the news saying like 5 guns and 1,000 rounds in arsenal.
Yeah,
it's like
I'm like,
whoa. That's a range day for me.
Yeah, and I think it's just because we have different things that we like to like. Neither of us put like an MP5 or some kind of like submachine gun,
PCC or something like that,
which is like giggle like level fun too. It's like shooting a full auto 9mm is. Maybe a little more expensive than shooting full auto 22, but because it has a little bit more push on it, it's got a different giggle factor to it, right?
So, it's just like shooting a full auto M4 versus a full auto MP5 versus a SAW versus a M60 versus a minigun. Like, it's all full auto, but they're all different. And you want to try them all.
Yeah. That is the one firearm that I don't own, that I do want to own, is a MP5 clone.
Yeah. Especially
very high on my list.
Especially with the new FRT.
Yes.
So that you don't have to make it look weird by having a odd MP5, M4 amalgamation. You can just have it have all the nice, sexy 80s vibe lines on it and have it be rat-a-tat as well. But, I mean, this is also why, like, these conversations, we can sit here for an hour and talk about it. 100%. Because you can't really... Yeah. It's so hard to narrow, and we didn't really. We kind of failed at our prompt.
And we cheated.
And we cheated a couple times too. That but this is always when you get a bunch of gun guys or gun people together that they aren't using our inclusive language here.
It's mostly guys, like 99% guys. It's
all good. We get almost always you get to talking about like, well, if you only have one gun, or you can only have 5 guns, or what gun would you use for this? It's because there's so many options, and there's so much different some opinions with stuff, and and the context matters too, as always.
Right.
It's like, are you talking about apocalypse? You talking about everyday life? You talking about,
Do I live in Alaska?
Do I live in Alaska? Do I live in Louisiana? Do I live in New York City?
Do I live in Afghanistan?
Do I live in Afghanistan? Because then it's going to be like a couple of AKs and an RPG, like a Tokarev.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Because like again, we joke about the we don't, neither of us, like, we're fairly similar in our firearms choices. But neither of us talked about a revolver. Neither of us talked about lever action. Yeah. But I would love to. Actually, really don't like revolvers, but I would love to own a lever action.
I am still mad at our friend Brian for selling his 460 Smith & Wesson without talking to me. Because if you're only going to own one revolver, why not own like the biggest revolver you can own?
Yeah, no, I hear you. And then again, if you live in Alaska, you're out with your hunting rifle or whatever, and a bear comes at you. I mean, I guess you could try to use that, but better with the. Anyway, we can go on forever on this.
Yes.
So hey, we actually did pretty good here.
Really good.
We're just over an hour.
We're on the button.
So I think we call it.
Yeah.
Kyle, thanks for joining today.
Absolutely.
It's a great topic.
Always fun.
One that I think is enjoyable. If you have your top 5, feel free to email us, podcast@acceptableaccuracy.com. Comment on our social medias that Tyler has not updated in a while. It's literally his one job. I edit the podcast. I post the podcast. I distribute it to our platform. And Tyler's supposed to have social media, and he hasn't. He spurts. He'll do every once in a while, but
they're seeing couples counselor next week.
Yeah, we are. Well, he's still be overseas next week, or over in Hawaii by next week anyway. But anyway, so like, comment, subscribe. Find us on different platforms too. We have our own distribution platform that we kick everything out through, and then we're also on the Firearms Radio network as well. So we've got another podcast with Kyle and I coming up that we'll record, and we've got a potentially really fun guest coming up that actually Tyler, I will give him credit. Tyler did a line because I did assign it to him because of his previous relationship with this individual. So we'll see if we can get that person on. And anyway, with that, thanks for joining and have a good evening.
Bye.